after a court ruling last night found that Trump's global tariffs are illegal. US morning shows were fretting over what that actually means.
Come up with foreign policy, national security reasons to enforce all of the other tariffs.
Exactly.
While President Trump was seen heading out today on Labor Day weekend for a spot of golf.
In other words, they charge us, we charge them less. So how can anybody be upset?
The court said Trump had overreached in his use of emergency powers when he used a piece of legislation from 1977 to justify the tariffs. The ruling upheld a decision back in May by the New York-based Court of International Trade. The legal challenge began with two lawsuits, one filed by a group of small businesses and a coalition of US states.
But I think what the court today said is, look, if the president thinks these tariffs are so important, and today I guess he said they're going to destroy the country if you don't have the tariffs, then make that case to Congress. That's what every president has done before him.
Taking to Truth Social, Trump criticised the appeals court and its ruling, saying all tariffs are still in effect. If they went away, it would be a total disaster for the country. It would make us financially weak. And, if allowed to stand, this decision would literally destroy the United States of America. The court has allowed tariffs to remain in place until mid-October. The ruling now raises questions about deals some leaders, like Prime Minister Keir Starmer, were able to thrash out with Trump to reduce their levies. And the ruling doesn't touch steel and aluminium tariffs. All in all, it creates major confusion and uncertainty for business.
A very important document.
With tariffs still in place for now, Trump's entire economic policy is in limbo, setting up an unprecedented legal showdown at the Supreme Court this autumn. As workers march in the Capitol to protest Trump's policies, the White House will be hoping they remain intact. 6 of the 11 justices at the Supreme Court are Republicans, including 3 who were selected by Trump himself. But they've previously been wary of old laws being stretched to give presidents new powers.
Emily Wither there. Well, a little earlier I spoke to Linda Yu, who is a professor of economics at the London Business School, and I asked her if Donald Trump's centrepiece policy is truly in peril.
It might actually be in peril. There's a couple of decisions now, including from the U.S. Court of International Trade, upheld on appeal, which is the decision that came out overnight, which basically says the authority he relied on to impose across-the-board tariffs and pretty much, all U.S. trading partners exceeds his authority. However, his tariff policy, I'm sure will continue under different guises because what was not struck down by the appeals court were the sectoral tariffs. So these are the 50% tariffs on steel, aluminium, I should say 25% for the UK because it was negotiated as part of the trade deal. These tariffs are the ones that actually have significant impact and can be expanded.
But hang on, he's in a fight with the Fed. The markets aren't happy about this stuff. Americans are paying more for their beloved cups of coffee because, in part, of tariffs. It's not going totally perfectly for the president, to put it mildly.
So the tariffs can work to raise revenue, but they are a blunt tool. So I think all the things that you mentioned, a number of studies now that have come out from various economic institutions find essentially American households are now paying thousands more per year on things they buy. There's not a lot of ready substitutes. For instance, inflation is around 2.7% in the latest figures, which is, of course, higher than the 2% target. So there's a lot of reasons why, tariffs are causing, I think, certainly there's an economic impact.
One thing you've got to say about global capitalism, it likes stability above all else. That's what investors want. This is not good for world markets, is it?
No, the uncertainty is dampening, as you would imagine, business activity. So in other words, if you think that these tariffs might be overturned by the Supreme Court, you may just want to wait a while to sell your goods to the US. We've actually already seen a lot of behavior like that, where goods are being rerouted, they're being held back. And so this uncertainty means that businesses aren't pushing ahead with growth, with shipping things, with investment. And that's actually why, if you look at forecasts of growth, pretty much growth this year is expected to be slower as a result of the tariffs.
Given everything you said, this is an unusual way to take your country into the midterm elections, is it not?
The takeaway from all the rulings that we've seen, certainly from this latest one, is that Congress has the power to set legislation, including broad-based tariffs. So it'd be interesting to see whether Congress, after all of this, and thinking about the politics and inflation and all the things that their voters might worry about, might take a more prominent stand.
Linda, you thanks very much indeed. Thank you.